Welcome back to this week's Prairie Star Spotlight on Sports Radio 1450. Jim Rupert visiting with new Prairie Stars volleyball head coach Trey Salinas. Coach, welcome to Springfield.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me here today.
First of all, background us a little bit. Volleyball player, volleyball coach, where have you been over the past couple of years?
Sure, yeah. I actually played. I played collegiately at Johnson & Wales University of Denver. I also played professionally overseas in Europe and South America. After that, I coached at Metro State University of Denver, and then I went on to Belmont Abbey College, where I worked with their men's and women's program there in Charlotte, North Carolina.
What was the appeal of the University of Illinois Springfield?
There were a lot of appeals, honestly. I'm very excited to be back at a public institution, being at a private institution recently at Belmont Abbey. Also, there has clearly been an exorbitant amount of resources that have been allocated towards athletics at UIS in the recent years, and I'm excited for the growth.
Is volleyball different? Is volleyball in Denver different from volleyball in the South at Belmont Abbey? And is volleyball at Belmont Abbey different from volleyball in the Midwest at the University of Illinois Springfield?
Absolutely, 100%. I think that the level of play is so much different. I just came from Conference Carolinas, which is relatively weaker conference, especially in comparison to the GLVC as far as volleyball is concerned. I can tell you that the squad here at UIS probably would have been a contender for the Conference Carolinas championship this past year.
What have you been able to do so far? You got on the job February 2nd. What are you able to have open gyms? Are you able to do anything with your players at this time of year?
Yeah, absolutely. I hit the ground running right away. I've had workouts with the girls. They're doing strength conditioning regimen right now. Definitely a group who is working extremely hard in the gym. I get about 8 hours a week with them, and 2 hours of that is individual court sessions. So we've been doing some special groups, working on some skills. So it's been a great environment so far in the gym.
And you're really not rebuilding. You've got 13 players back from a team that went 10-18 last year.
Yeah, absolutely. A very, very athletic squad, a very good size squad. I'm super excited about the talent that's already with the program.
And you've brought in one player from the early signing period. Talk about Alyssa Hassler.
Yeah, Alyssa is a kid who was recruited by the previous coach, but she is a phenomenal athlete. I had a chance to watch her. I've had her and her dad come on campus and meet with me and talk with me, and definitely a very, very good athlete, and we're excited to have her.
What you see your players are capable of doing, does it fit the style of volleyball that you like to play?
I believe so. I think that there are a few players who will struggle just a little bit with the system that I like to run, but I think that with time it's going to be something that they'll pick up on, and I think they'll really enjoy it.
You said you played. Where does the love of volleyball come from?
My family. Actually, I had an uncle who played beach on the West Coast. I had an older sister who played volleyball as well. So I was kind of that target in the backyard who got hit at as a young child. So,
where's home for you?
Originally, home is from El Paso, Texas.
Okay, is that a volleyball hotbed?
For women, maybe, yeah. Okay. For men, not at all.
You were involved in men's and women's volleyball at Belmont Abbey. How do you? I guess they're different seasons, but you're kind of spread pretty thin doing that, aren't you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, those coaches, you're working back-to-back seasons, so really there is no off time. December is like the only time that you get a little bit of time to yourself. So it's definitely intense. It's intense, especially being on the fact that you have to recruit year-round for two programs. So it was a tough situation. It was a good environment, I think, to prepare me for my first head coaching position here at UIS.
Men's volleyball is definitely kind of a regionalized type thing. Do you see it gaining enough speed, enough strength that it's across the country? UIS will one day have men's volleyball, or is it not ever going to do that?
I would hope so. And honestly, this is actually the perfect place for men's volleyball to grow. I'll be honest with you, in Conference Carolinas, which is the fastest growing Division I men's volleyball conference in the country, there is no boys volleyball anywhere in South Carolina or North Carolina. I mean, it's really at the grassroots level, whereas here in the Midwest, men's volleyball is huge, especially the Chicago area. That's a huge hub for great men's volleyball programs. So, I mean, I think that it would be to the detriment of UIS if they did not add men's volleyball down the road.
You did both of them at Belmont Abbey. Was your bent always towards coaching on the women's side, or were you looking to get a men's job? Would you have gone men's, or is the priority for you to be a women's volleyball coach?
I think the priority for me is to be a women's volleyball coach. I really do love the men's game. Obviously, I played men's at a high level, so I have a greater understanding of the men's game. But overall, for me, I think that the biggest opportunity for growth in my personal career is through the women's game.
You played professionally in Argentina and Spain. Can you make any money playing volleyball professionally?
Yeah, absolutely, but you just have to be a lot better than I was.
You were a setter?
I was.
Are there a fair amount of those? I mean, are the 6'5" guys the guys that are pounding down the big bucks?
Absolutely. I was probably the smallest setter in both leagues that I was in, so a little bit undersized. And, the bigger guys are definitely making the majority of money. I can tell you that there are some professional volleyball players from the States who go over there and make millions of dollars. They have phenomenal 10-year careers. I just was never going to be that athlete. You talked about Midwestern volleyball. You were born in the Texas area. You talked about being in California. You coached and played in Denver. You were in the Carolinas. Is the Midwest, are you going on reputation of the Midwest, or are you familiar with some stuff, Midwestern volleyball? I'm pretty familiar. I know several club directors in the area, most notably the club director over at Sports Performance in Chicago, which is arguably one of the best volleyball clubs in America, as well as my wife is from Nebraska, and she was an All-American middle blocker in Nebraska, and so I just know the talent level that comes out of the Midwest.
What your recruiting style? How do you do it?
Well, I usually try to hit it hard. I go for the highest player I could possibly get, even if sometimes they may seem a little bit untouchable. Most notably, I go for players who D1 schools are hard after, at least the mid-major D1 schools are hard after, and promise them opportunities to just play a lot earlier on in their college career. I'm looking for the workhorse type of kid. I want the kind of kid who's going to just run through the wall for me, who's going to believe in our system and buy into what our program is selling.
I'm going to take you to a little bit of a slippery slope since you're new to the territory.
Sure.
How important is it for you to get players from the hometown?
It is. For me personally, I just think it helps with the growth of our program. I think it helps build that foundation and that support that I think that the program needs.
But it is a slippery slope because if the local hometown star isn't good enough to play on the college team, then then the people are saying, "Oh, that coach doesn't know what he's doing. Look at how great that player was." So yeah, there are goods and bads to picking the apples off the backyard tree.
I would totally agree with you there. Luckily, our local stars are going to schools like Baylor right now for women's volleyball. So if I get the local star, I would be very, very happy about that.
Your family, do you have any children, you and your wife?
I have two big, rather large, hairy children, and that's it.
How old are they?
6.5 and 5. So we have two dogs.
Oh, two dogs.
Two dogs.
Okay.
Hairy
Okay.
children.
Okay, hairy
so
children.
So we're rather young. We've only been married for about a year and a half now. And so we're looking to kind of move here, put some roots down, and actually start our family. We're really excited about it.
Was it a match made in volleyball heaven? Is that how you met?
It sure was. We actually met coaching.
Where did she coach?
Well, she coached at Bishop Matchbuff High School, which was where I was at, coaching both the men's and the women's team. And I was moving on to Metro State. And so I had to hire my replacement and work with them for a year so they can get a little bit familiar with the program there. And we just became best friends out of it.
Prairie Stars volleyball. A lot of sometimes the good news is you got 13 players back. Sometimes the bad news is you got 13 players back. Are you familiar? Are you used to kind of coming in and taking what other people have? Ideally, a volleyball, any coach wants to build his program with people that he brings in that fit his style. Is that a little bit hard adjustment? A great number of players, 13 being around?
I think I like to use it to my benefit. I think it can be quite an adjustment phase, an adjustment period. My goal here is that I want to make all of these returning 13 athletes be a part of my system one way or the other. And so while some of them may not acclimate as quickly to it as others, they came here for a reason. I have to honor their commitment for coming here in the first place. So I think in the end it works out well. I had this experience going over to Belmont Abbey and working with several of their returning players the spring season that I got there, and they had just had a season where they were just on the cusp of being maybe the top 5 in the conference. And we had a really, really hard-working spring season, and the next year we go in and we're the outright conference champions. So I think it worked well there. I'm hoping it'll do the same here.
And what will you do as far as competition in the spring at UIS at the Division II level? What are you allowed to do? You talked about the hours you can be with them and stuff. Is there time that you can compete, you can get some outside competition?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a non-championship season, which is a 45-day segment that's actually starting in about 2.5 weeks. And once that segment starts, I get to work a full 20 hours a week with the kids in the gym, just like normal practice, like we're in our real season. So that'll be a fun experience for me and the girls to kind of see what kind of environment we're going to hold in the gym, as well as we have 4 optional play dates where we can go and go to scrimmages. I've picked up on 2 that we're going to be going to. They're in-conference foes. We're going over to Quincy. We're also going over to McKendree, and they'll have several teams that are going to be there, kind of in a round-robin experience playing with us.
Are you a proponent? You mentioned beach volleyball early. Will you get your players involved some way in some beach volleyball type stuff, sand volleyball stuff?
I think for training purposes, yes. I don't think I'm trying to push for the beach experience as much. I think that we need as much on-court, realistic, lifelike play that we're going to see next year in conference as possible. So it'll be limited.
Coming in, you talked about the size. If you could go 1, 2, 3, the strengths of the Prairie Stars team that you're going to be working with, what would you go with?
I would say size, athleticism, and then mindset. Mental strength. The kids are out here. I've pretty much been killing them for the past 2 weeks, and I haven't heard one complaint yet, and that excites me.
What's your philosophy?
My coaching philosophy is my job is to give these kids an experience. And the experience is I'm not just creating or trying to create good volleyball players, but good characters, good people who are going to coach after me, and I want to have the best impact on these kids as possible. I work them hard. I'm a coach's coach. So most of the kids learn to have a great respect for me afterwards when they say, Coach, you made me the best possible player I could be, and I have so much respect for you because of it.
Do you have a mentor? Do you have somebody that your philosophy, that the way you do things is based?
I have a few people actually that I've been close with that I've had the opportunity to just kind of use as mentors. One of them is Marv Dunphy. He's the head men's volleyball coach over at Pepperdine University. I think Mary DeJute has been a great mentor to me. She was the head women's volleyball at Belmont Abbey College, as well as most recently I've been talking with Cecile Reynaud, and she is a very well-known volleyball coach who used to coach at Florida State University.
Some pretty good resumes there.
Absolutely.
What kind of goals? It's probably too early to set real concrete goals, but what kind of things would you want to see in your first year with this program with a relatively experienced team?
Yeah, I would love to break our conference win record. Absolutely. I think the program has only won 4 conference matches in its history in the GLVC, and I'd love to come in and do that right away. I'd love to come in and get that 5th win. Not only that, I'd love to be in the top half of our conference right away. I think that the system that I'll bring is going to be a little bit unique and different, a little bit of faster-paced offense, and I'm really excited to see how it's going to take in the GLVC.
Is there an advantage to being a university, the first part of your school, the University of Illinois part, which is kind of, I wouldn't say a national powerhouse, but they're in the conversation, University of Illinois. Is that an advantage to being at a school in the state of Illinois that says University of Illinois on it?
Yeah, absolutely. This is it's a very well-known, accredited university that a lot of kids would love to have their degree from. So being attached to it, it's just a wonderful thing, especially in a state where women's volleyball is so prominent.
What about your staff? Have you completed it? Are you keeping people? Are you bringing people in?
I'm bringing people in. I'm hoping to have an entire staff of 4, all of us together. But that's kind of in the works right now and in the making.
Could your wife be part of your staff?
I'm hoping that she helps out on a voluntary basis. I think she just in general, as my wife, she's always kind of involved in it, has her hands in it, as you could imagine.
What about life in Springfield? Is she with you, or is she still back in Carolina?
She is actually in North Carolina right now. She'll be there until June because we run a volleyball club down there. She is graduating with her master's degree right now, and she also teaches. So she's super busy right now, and she's living our hectic life down there until June. Then she'll move up.
The club volleyball stuff, you're involved in it. Is that where most of the recruiting is done on the club level?
Absolutely. I can't tell you the last time I walked into a high school gym to watch a match to recruit a kid.
Is that good or bad?
It depends. We're losing the relationship that previous coaches built with high schools, and that's bad. It's good because it helps from a recruiting standpoint, from a budget. It just makes a lot more sense when I can go, for instance, I'm going to Colorado Crossroads. I leave tomorrow morning for Denver, Colorado. I'm going to go to a convention center where they have 174 volleyball courts set up and 800 plus teams that I can look at all in one place. And I'm watching at the highest level competition in the country. So I have the ability to see whether a player is going to be impactful in our league or not. And that's great.
Do you recruit the same to UIS as you recruited to Belmont Abbey? Do you look for the same exact things, or does Division I, Division II, do you have to lower what you're looking for? You lower your expectations, maybe?
My expectations here are much higher than they were at Belmont Abbey. While the men's program was Division I, women's was Division II. Okay. And like I said, the conference and the region is just generally a weaker region. I have so much more resources here I can utilize for potential recruits. So honestly, I'm looking for a much higher caliber kid here, which is great for me.
Your early experiences, your early reactions to being in Springfield, Illinois, nice weather that we're having to welcome you, I guess.
Absolutely. No, I love it. I think it's going to be a great place for me to grow and for me to see some success.
How about the staff? How are the folks out there treating you?
They're wonderful. Probably one of the biggest reasons I chose UIS, amongst from the resources that the school has to offer, is the support system. The staff there, my athletic director, Kim Pate, she's phenomenal. Somebody that I saw myself working for, and she's just been wonderful since the get-go. So I'm very appreciative of the support staff there.
UIS Stars Club Caravan is happening Thursday, March 12th. It's going to be at the Alamo downtown, 5 to 7 p.m. You can join the Stars Club by going to the website, UIS website. You can be with the coaches and the staff for some good food and networking. As usual, you can get official UIS gear. Shop UISgear.com. If the weather cooperates, Coach Salinas is in charge of that. Baseball and softball will open at home March 7th and 8th. Baseball against Truman, softball against Lake Superior. And our next Prairie Star Spotlight will be March 13th. Coach Trey Salinas, welcome to Springfield. Good luck to the Prairie Stars volleyball team. And you got some time to get them ready to go.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
That's this week's Prairie Star Spotlight. Thanks to Coach Trey Salinas. Back after these messages.